What's good, everybody? I want to welcome y'all back to the third episode of the Oddkast podcast. I'm your host, Gary Gnu, and what we're doing today is we're going to showcase my man, DJ Black Hurricane. He's going to show y'all some skills over here on his turntable mixer setup here. You know what I mean? We're going to take it back to the essence, y'all. Pure hip-hop in its purest form, where it all began with a turntable and a mixer and a little something special called talent. You know what I mean? So we gonna head on over to see your man DJ Black Hurricane do his thing, y'all.
What up? This is DJ Black Hurricane of the Oddkast podcast. And what I basically do is I scratch. And today I'm gonna demonstrate a little something to you on the scratching turntable, and I'm gonna be doing a little bit of scratching. I like when you scratch over beats. It just adds another element to hip hop. It gives it more flavor. How I got into scratching was about 5 years ago when I was a senior in high school. I really took it seriously. I was listening to records prior to that, but around 2012, I actually picked up a record, put it on the turntable, and I started scratching because I was listening to a lot of records, DJ Premier, Pete Rock, and DJs like that, producers. They always used to scratch on their choruses. Not all the time, but most of the time. DJ Premier mostly did that. And I was like, you know what? That sounds dope. So I got into it, and I'm not really perfect at it, but at least I can get down on it. I know how to stay on beat and all that stuff, stabbing, the baby scratches, I got all that stuff. And I just want to demonstrate a little bit something for y'all. So here it is.
Going back and forth visiting. Podcast. Gary Gnu, DJ Black Hurricane. Just giving y'all a little lesson, you know what I'm saying, and scratching, DJing, you know what I mean, from the heart, you know what I mean? And we want to let everybody out there know in the podcast world that we are going to keep on, Oddkast podcast, baby. Signing off. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Oddkast podcast. I'm your host, Mr. Gary Gnu.
And I'm your co-host, DJ Black Hurricane.
And this is our third installment of the Oddkast podcast. So today, we're going to talk about some vinyl, some 90s vinyl here on the Oddkast podcast, where we like to talk about hip-hop and everything that manifests within. So, we're going to talk about some records today that are special to him and also special to me. To him because he's a DJ and he likes to scratch it up and cut them kind of records. But for me, it was like the soundtrack to my childhood, to my teenage years. You know, the 90s, the early 90s is a really special time period for me. So, yeah, a lot of that we're going to be talking about a lot of those kind of records on this show. and on this episode here. So,
All right, so we basically picked out 3 albums. They're all from the early 90s. 2 of them are from 1990, one of them's from 91. That's like the surprise that I'm going to show at the end. These are pulled straight from my stash, personally. So we're just going to talk about 3 albums that we have here. And to start with, I'm going to talk about XClan, Today's Blackwards. This came out in 1990. Now, with this record, this is during the era of hip-hop when everything was going pro-black, everything was Afrocentric. We started fighting for causes. Most of the injustices of the late 80s, early 90s were booming, like even the LA riots, all that stuff, all that. Even though this record came out before that, it was still manifesting into all that was to come later on. So what you have on this album is just a bunch of pro-black rhetoric, you know, going back to Africa, red, black, and green, and Brother J, Sugar Shack, Professor X, they all come together and they just make this funky record. It's not really an East Coast record. When you listen to the beats on this, it's mostly West.
East and West,
It's East and West. Got a lot of funkadelic stuff on here.
Yeah, a lot of funk samples.
A lot of funk, lots of funk. You even have a Tom Tom Club sample on it. It's crazy. And when you put it on, it's like, hold on, they're from Brooklyn, but they sound like LA. And this is before LA started to take hold of the whole funk samples and stuff, because the East Coast started to move towards the jazz stuff in the 90s. So what you have on here is just a bunch of funky ass songs, like Funk and Lesson. There's a video for that. It's pretty dope. Let's talk about Verbal Milk. Just a bunch of pro-black rhetoric. It's very, I wouldn't say white people should not listen to this. I want to be inclusive, but back in the 90s, political correctness didn't really exist. So they're just gonna show you the facts straight up. Like, if you get offended, that's on you.
Yeah, they're very unapologetically black before that was even a term. This album, To the East Blackwards, man, I mean, the cover alone was dope, man. Pink Caddy, you got the license plate with the red, black, and green. Rest in peace to Professor X. This is protected by the red, the black,
and the green with the key.
Sissy. Can you say sissy today on the record and get it on the radio?
No, not today. It's too much PC bullshit
too
out
much,
here.
Too
politically
much
correct.
Yeah.
Too politically correct.
Funk and Lesson, like Hurricane said. My joint on here was Grand Verbalizer. What time is it?
That's an average white band, right? Sam? Yeah.
Not sure about that. What else is my joint on here? Heed the Words of a Brother, Verbs of Power.
That dog sample.
What joint had the
In the Ways of the Scales, that had the Tom Tom.
the Roy Ayers do red, black, and green. Is that Raise the Flag?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite songs on there.
Yeah.
Just talking about raising the flag from Africa and America. There's a song on here called Shaft's Big Score. Now, the thing with early 90s records, 80s records,
Tribute to the DJ.
they used to tribute the DJ a lot. I wanted to bring that up because as you seen earlier, I was just scratching on the turntable. So personally, I like that track because a lot of people, they're not really into DJ tracks like that I know of. But I just like hearing a beat and making the DJ just going off on it. I love that type of stuff. I just wish they would do that a little more nowadays, but it is what it is.
Yeah. Also, their aesthetic, man. I mean, they had the beats, they had the onks. Everything, man, was just Africa. They were kind of like Tribe, they were kind of like Jungle, but harder. Funny story though, I was watching Sway in the Morning, and Africa from the Jungle Brothers was telling a funny story about how Brother J, how he gave Brother J his name. Like I said, man, funny story. Y'all can check it out, man, on Sway in the Morning, man. But yeah, man, To the East Blackwards, XClan. This was definitely a hot joint. It played in the cars, it played in the Jeeps, in the headphones. Definitely was in my rotation and everybody else's rotation, man, in the streets. So yeah, man, definitely a good album here, man.
Go get it. Go listen to it. If you haven't heard it, please do. Do yourself a favor. They were about to break up, if I'm not mistaken. But Take a Look Around by Master Ace came out in 1990. This is the deluxe version. This is actually way more expensive than the original press.
Because this has 2 records in there?
Yeah, there's 4 actually. It's 4.
Oh, 4.
Feel how heavy that thing is. That thing is heavy.
Oh, wow.
There's 4 records
Okay.
in there.
That's
4
what's
freaking
up.
records.
Okay.
It costs $50.
I was about to say.
The shipping was like ridiculous because it's so heavy.
Right.
So But listen, I love the instrumentals because you got a bunch of instrumentals, acapellas, all the extra stuff that they don't really do on records nowadays.
Okay.
They got a bunch of goodies for like the DJs because I like listening to instrumentals. Instrumentals is what I do. Like when I scratch over beats, I listen to a bunch of instrumentals. And this had Letter to the Better, one of my favorite Marley Marl beats. One of my favorite Marley Marl beats.
That's the classic Marley joint.
Yeah. So this came out. This was during.
Ha ha ha! Look at that.
This is me and the Biz.
Me and the Biz.
So
the Biz puppet.
There was actually a funny story with the Biz because Biz Markie couldn't be in the music video. He was tied up with other stuff.
Well, he couldn't be in the session.
Yeah, he couldn't be in the session.
When he was recording the actual song.
Yeah. He also wasn't in the video too.
Yeah, he wasn't.
Yeah. So he couldn't. Like it was like they were beefing at the times. Like he couldn't be where Master Ace was,
right.
And so they ended up making a doll in as his replacement in the video. And he couldn't be in the studio too. So Master Ace took on his whole entire persona. And doing, all the Biz Markie inflections, acting like how funny and stupid he usually is.
And he freaked it. I think he killed it.
He did a good job.
That was a good record.
If there was a music video for it, he probably,
That was a single.
It was a single, so he put effort into it. So it's one of my favorite Master Ace songs. It's a very, I would say it's a dated song, but in a good way. It was a product of its time,
yeah.
But it was still dope. It's still dope.
Yeah, that was dope.
Yeah. And there's actually 2 covers to this album.
Oh, it was.
Yeah, because if you remember the CD version, he was looking in a different direction on the album, on the vinyl, or the special Traffic Entertainment reissue. It's a different cover.
Oh.
Yeah. It also.
This is the one I remember though, but.
Also, this is actually taking after the Curtis Mayfield album. His first album, Curtis Mayfield album that came out in 1970. What was it called? It was called Curtis. It has Move On Up on it. And Master Ace actually took inspiration from that album cover, and he projected it on here. So that was an interesting tidbit. I found that out a long time ago.
Okay.
So, yeah. And this is when Marley Marl, he was getting a little bit more horn heavy with his production. He started using way more horns. Because in the early 90s, like, all the boom bap stuff that started to use horns and deep bass lines and stuff. Like a song called, there's a song called Brooklyn Battles on here. It's a very, very dark instrumental, even though it's just a loop of an Eddie Kendrick song.
But Master Ace told a nice story.
He told it was a gritty story.
Yeah.
But all it was just this dark piano loop just going over and over. It was dope. Also, liner notes. I just like reading about how the artists were in the studio and what they were going through making the album.
Oh, really?
That's in there? Yeah, because Master Ace, he was talking about making the album.
Okay.
That's one thing that I love reading about. Since I'm such a music enthusiast, I just like knowing what the artists were going through in the creative process making an album. I think it's just very interesting. It's very interesting. And when they're making beats, like, how you go on YouTube, you watch videos of producers making beats. I like watching that too. I just like seeing their creative mind work.
Definitely.
Because these are very creative people. Every artist is a very creative person. And once they lay it down for you and they show you what they do, because not every artist likes doing that. They like keeping it secret, like DJ Premier. You can never see DJ Premier make a beat. He will never let you see it because he's very secretive of how his methods are. I don't know what they are, but...
Well, KFC don't tell you how they make their chicken, man.
Yeah,
They ain't gonna give you the recipe.
Exactly. Like, I got a whole bunch of records here that y'all ain't seeing, so we all have something that we all want to hide,
Alright. So yeah, man, this piece, this album here, definitely another special record to me. It's part of my soundtrack to my life. Back in high school, I remember this joint came out, and it was definitely one of those joints where you didn't skip. It was nothing on there that I would skip. I liked the Music Man. I Gotcha. Everything on here. Me and the Biz. What's the one?
I forgot about I Gotcha.
As I Reminisce.
As I Reminisce.
Don't talk about horns. Talk about horns. You know what I'm saying?
Gangsta also used that a year prior, so.
Yeah. Take a Look Around. I like that one. Maybe Next Time.
You like Take a Look Around though?
Yeah, it's like
it's just a spoken word.
Word. What was that a sample from? Doom, 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 doom.
I know the sample. I can't put my name on the artist. Right?
Yeah,
can't put a name on it.
Last Poets or something like that.
Oh yeah. Oh, I actually have that record.
Okay. Yeah.
It's the Last Poet. The Devil.
Posted High. Remember that joint?
Posted High. Yeah, that had the
Street Life.
The Street Life sample on it.
Yeah. But definitely a classic joint. Master Ace, the first voice that you heard on the symphony. Part of the Juice crew, you know what I mean? Definitely, and he's still around today, still relevant today, still making music. He got a new album out now, A Brooklyn Story, I believe it's called. Yeah, man, so Master Ace was that dude then, and like I said, he's still around now. All right, y'all, so here we go. This is the moment that y'all been waiting for. The final surprise record that we're going to talk about on the Oddkast podcast. Give it to him.
Well, the record that I think is a surprise and what many of y'all think is a surprise.
Bang!
Organized
Bomb.
Confusion. Organized Confusion.
Yes.
That was just the name of the album. And the name of the group. It's the self-titled album, the first one. Now.
Pharaoh Monch.
Pharaoh Monch, Parents Paul. Now, what a lot of people don't understand is flow. Let's just talk about flow first.
Yes.
Let's talk about flow.
Which both of them had.
Off the fucking rails.
Yeah. Prince Poetry. Shout out to Prince Poetry.
It's like, okay, their flow is like a mix of, I would say, a rock hymn, a fast rock hymn. They can also spit it like Biggie too, but they also had that singy songy shit. Remember they did that Tupac like.
Yeah. They had melodies in their flow,
melodic flows. So they were
wordy,
and they were like the first East Coast.
Sharp. They were sharp,
very
man.
sharp. Just listen to a song. Okay, let's for example, Releasing Hypnotical Gases. On the last verse, Prince Poe, the one he gave. Listen to how he was chopping the flow up, mixing it up. He was making a triplet here, a double on his flow. Just listen to the last verse. Prince Poe's verse.
And what year was this again?
This was 91 too. This is 91, the early 90s.
That's right.
And this was still during the era where the simple stuff was going on, but flow was starting to really pick up during the early 90s and 91. I think this is where it really started. This is where flow really started to matter. Rakim came out in the 80s. That's when people started to actually get on beat and flow it and mix it up and make it tricky, make it more tricky. More aggressive. But they made it complex.
Yeah.
These guys made it complex. Every time I try to spit anything, I always mess up.
You gotta prepare yourself.
I gotta mess up.
You know what I mean? You gotta drink some water first.
There's a part on the song, Organized Confusion, the title song, the title track song, where Pharaoh Monch, he does this, you gotta pick up, and he makes it so fast and he makes it flow, and he doesn't stutter at all. He doesn't fuck it up.
Right. And this is a heavier Pharaoh Monch.
Yeah, like his breath control was on point too. He could spit forever and not run out of breath.
Word.
Like on Releasing Hypnotical Gas, I'm gonna point to that song a lot because it's so fucking, it's out of this damn world. His flow and breath control, I think on the second verse he gives, when he says, I exist who is one without of all things, something like that, when it becomes all spacey and shit, that's when his breath control, it becomes ridiculous. I'll be trying to spit along to it, I'll be like, yo, this motherfucker, take a breath. This motherfucker will not stop fucking rapping. Yeah. That's just what he does.
Yeah.
He wakes up, takes a shit, and then raps. That's what he does.
Right.
So, there you go, man.
Yeah, man. This record here, man, once again.
Classic.
One of my favorite joints from the 90s, man, early 90s, you know what I mean, high school. Like I said, you know, Pharaoh Monch, Prince Poetry. This is the first time we hear OC. This is OC's breakout on Fudge Pudge. And that was my favorite joint on here, Fudge Pudge, man. They got a lot of joints. I like Roosevelt Franklin. Who Stole My Last Piece of Chicken? That was on some comedy shit.
But the thing with the vinyl version is they only have the remix. On the CD version, they have the original one
with the skull snaps.
With the skull snaps. They have some other type of beat with the remix. It's okay.
Really?
I prefer the original one, but it's not.
Yeah, that's the one I like. I think I might remember that remix with the different tracks.
Yeah, it has some funky bass line in it. It's not like the original.
Walking to the Sun, that was another joint I liked on there. But they had a nice instrumental too, that Fudge Funk joint.
Yeah.
The intro. Yeah, that's a nice little instrumental. But Fudge Pudge, man, talk about flows, man. No, I don't have a Benz, and no, I don't have an Infinity.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. Like them dudes
I'm thinking
was like
8 inches of me will be the remedy.
Those joints was like.
I love that song. That song.
They had so many
you
bars.
can rap along to. Yeah. That song is very fun to rap along to. Open Your Eyes. That's like one of the first religious songs because they were talking about God and looking towards the sky and shit.
Right.
And Get Right with God. That was the song Open Your Eyes. That's what it was basically about. And that was probably one of the first religious songs in hip hop.
Yeah, man. So you don't have no stories about how you obtain this vinyl here?
Well, I don't know how the prices are now, but when I bought it, it was like really expensive. The original one goes for stupid money, but this is the reissue because it doesn't have. I think the original has the original Who Stole the Last Piece of Chicken, but the way I got it on Discogs because you can never dig shit like this out of a record store. It's too uncommon. Right. Organized Confusion, like who knows about Organized Confusion? Like they're a very underground group, even back in the 90s.
Yeah.
They didn't get that much radio play.
They had a couple.
That Fudge Pludge video. I know that played on. I think. I mean, you.
No, but then they had a second album.
Extinction Agenda. Or
Stress was on.
I need to get that on vinyl. That shit's stupid hard to come by.
Stress kills, destroys, stress.
Yeah, we'll get to that another day. But that's actually my favorite Organized Confusion album. This is my second favorite. The third one, or the Equinox, it was okay.
Yeah.
But the first two albums they put out, very classics.
Definitely, man.
And this is what made people step their flow game up, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. Because when they came out, they were spitting like nobody else was in Queens.
Mad different.
Mad complex flows.
Yeah.
It's very hard to keep up with. If you're not listening, you're going to miss the whole entire meaning of the verse if you don't pay attention. So this is one of my favorite records. I recommend this to anybody who's in the flows. If you want to up your flow, put this on, study what Prince Poe and Pharoah Monch do.
Definitely.
Because they do some incredible shit on the mic that I never heard any other MC match or come close to.
Pharoah Monch is still making music today.
Yep.
And he's a lot thinner. He's like...
Yeah, this is back... Because you know how you got...
now.
Because there was actually... I remember I watched the video and he said that he got fat. He used to mix 40s with like Kool-Aid and shit and drink it.
Wow.
He used to drink that shit every day. And he said, you know what, this shit's got to stop. That's how he got... That's how he turned into a fucking blimp. Yeah. He drank Kool-Aid and 40s. He mixed that shit together and drank it. If he watches this, yo, bro, come on, man. I'm glad you stopped because if you kept doing it, you probably wouldn't even be here right now, bro. Right. I'm glad you got right, but come on, man. What the hell were you thinking back in 91, man?
He was young, man. That shit you do when you young, man.
Kool-Aid in a 40.
Hey, I bet he wasn't the
He used to drink like half.
He learned that from somebody. Somebody taught him that.
But that's how you make OE, right? You used no, Brass Monkey. It was like orange juice and 40, like OE, right?
I mean, Brass Monkey was an actual drink you could buy in a bottle.
Yeah, but isn't it like the ingredients?
I don't know what the ingredients are.
I'm pretty sure
I never made Brass Monkey.
I'm pretty sure OE is orange juice with OE. You have to like drink half the OE.
That's what it tastes like, though.
It's good though. I think that's what it was. I used to drink. You know, what am I talking about? Because I used to mix orange juice with my 40.
Right. We're not.
I'm fucking dumb. I forgot I used to do that shit. Because I don't drink like that anymore.
Anyway, back to music.
Yeah, but yes. What the hell was I thinking? What was he thinking too?
But yeah, man.
Yeah.
That about wraps it up for the discussion today, y'all. You know what I mean? Thank y'all for watching. Remember, the Oddkast podcast, we will continue tearing up shit like we said in the last segment. I am Mr. Gary Gnu, and
I'm your co-host, DJ Black Hurricane.
All right, y'all. Signing off, y'all. Peace. See ya. One.
Peace.
Peace.
This is a new tech production. This is a new tech production.